Now, Republican Senator Richard Burr of North Carolina, he's the chair of the Intelligence Committee in the Senate. Mr. Chairman, thanks so much for being here. You just got out of a briefing. What's the latest you can tell us about the investigation?
Well, Jake, as you know, we've had quite a few of these lately, and it takes time for the forensics, especially when it's overseas. But I think it's safe to say that it has all the hallmarks of an ISIL-directed attack. Because of the degree of planning and the tactical coordination, this is something that was looked at for probably quite some time. It was an airport that we knew was surveilled in the past. For what reason, we didn't know. But obviously that surveillance took effect with this attack this week.
Were any of the terrorists or any of the ISIS individuals who may have been involved in one way or another known to Turkish officials, European officials, American officials?
Too early to know. I don't want to speak for the Turks. They're the lead investigator, and it takes it takes a while before their information feeds to us. And the faster that they share information with us, the faster we'd be able to make direct links around the world, because we have the largest database for that. But I wouldn't read too much into it until we know exactly who they were. I know there's speculation now, but they've got very little evidence right now to go on unless they found additional evidence.
Well, they seem to have the nationalities of the three terrorists, at least. They're talking about them being from specific countries, including Russia. That would suggest that they have an idea of who they are, no?
It would suggest that they've had confirmed by either people that lived near them or individuals that they've picked up. I think they've picked up 13 individuals in raids that they've committed. But as you and I have seen before, in an event like this, for weeks there will be additional raids on individuals. I think the question is, what will this do to Turkey's commitment to close the border? Will Turkey start being a real participant in prosecuting the war against ISIL? And will the United States adjust its strategy to make sure that these types of attacks can't continue to happen throughout Europe and potentially here in the U.S.?
What you and other national security officials have been saying is that this has all the hallmarks of an ISIS or ISIL-directed attack. But is there specifically any intelligence, any information showing communication with these individuals, or is it just the fact that they've identified who they are and they have traced them to Raqqa and then traced them back to Eastern Europe? Is it just their path more than anything else?
No electronic media that has been looked at that would give that direct link today. But that's not to say that as the forensics is done on that we might not find a communication that shows a direct communication with individuals in Raqqa, or I might say in 19 other countries where Al-Qaeda has a presence, and 6 of them with operational capacity.
Al-Qaeda and ISIS.
And ISIS, excuse me.
And let me ask you a question, because it seems like ISIS is being defeated quite a bit on the battlefield, at least in some areas, including Iraq. They just lost Fallujah the other day. Some speculate that every time they lose territory in their so-called caliphate, in the land that they've taken control of, they strike out in other places in Europe or Turkey or wherever. Is that accurate, and is it directly correlated, or is it just that they're always attacking and the war is going on in the Middle East?
Two answers. One, as they have given up 20% of the geography and they've lost quite a few fighters, their net has spread to 19 countries, and that means that we've got to follow them with our coalition partners. I think more importantly, I've said for the last year when I've had the opportunity to come on with you, with every day the threat scenario gets worse, and it's worse today than it was when this attack happened, from a standpoint of how many places around the world that there's a commitment to carry out a terrorist act. And what we've got is intent and capabilities, and when we don't affect one of those two, it's a matter of time before the next one and the next one and the next one.
And let's talk about that, because I know a lot of people are watching at home. It's the 4th of July holiday coming up. How safe and secure is the United States from this threat? Is there any actionable intelligence about any terrorism that might be committed in the next week or so?
No actionable intelligence, but the intent and the capability exist, whether that's through a directed or enabled or just an individual that's homegrown and radicalized, that something could happen in the United States. So when you see something, say something is a really, really important phrase. In Turkey, we now have individuals that say, you know, I smelled chemicals in the building. Didn't say anything. So we learn with each one, but as you pointed out, as the war begins to affect ISIL's presence in the caliphate, the likelihood is these will become more frequent around the world, and the United States is not excluded from that just because we have two oceans as borders.
Senator Burr, thanks so much. As always, we appreciate your time. Have a happy 4th of July.